Hey everybody, happy Friday. Well, it's not so happy today, but I'm saying the wrong day because I'm like happy Wednesday. Whoo child. So yeah, hey, happy Wednesday. So yes, I have heard the news and I was actually live on my other channel when I heard the news, and that channel I usually have entertainment. It's for like a good kiki, a good time. But as soon as I heard the news, I already knew that I probably should have just canceled the live because I was not my usual self. But I still went ahead and tried to stay live, but then I finally just ended the live because I just could not finish the live with this news that I heard today with Shanquella Robinson, who we've all been seeking justice for since she was brutally attacked and killed in Kabul on October 29th, 2022. And we have been fighting for our justice. And I was actually happy that we reached 40,000 petition signatures, and we have recently submitted the petition to U.S. officials. And we also have been contacting the White House recently through the contact form, applying pressure. And also Sue Ann Robinson, along with Ben Crump and the others, have also been applying pressure, wanting answers by at least the 200th day. And now we have finally gotten a response from the Department of Justice and the FBI. However, it's not the response we were looking for or even hoping for or praying for throughout this whole time. It's definitely something that has saddened a lot of us, and we're all very disappointed in the information that was received. And like I said, I was hoping that with my next live, we would discuss Atlas luxation, and also we would celebrate reaching 40,000 signatures because we had just recently reached 30,000. Then we got to 39,000. I submitted a petition to the U.S. officials, and now we're at, let's see here, 40,000 signatures, 40,121 signatures. So there's a lot of people wanting justice for Shanquella and still wanting justice for Shanquella because let's face it, and let's be honest, the truth is the truth. There's no way a 25-year-old woman can travel to Cabo with fake friends for a vacation to enjoy herself, to have fun, live life to the fullest, and then end up with a broken neck, Atlas luxation, internal decapitation, and then people can say, oh, there's nothing to see here. No, we all know that she was brutally attacked. We saw the video, even though it was a bit short, of her being brutally attacked by Dejanay Manhan Jackson. And since we saw that video, she said no, she didn't want to fight back. So obviously it was a brutal attack at that point. And then, of course, we saw that brief video before where she said, okay. And it seemed like it was consensual. But then later on, we hear her say no. And it's clear that at that point, it should have been stopped. And then we see her being thrown by her neck, a lot of brutal hits. We can hear the punches being onto her person. And then all of a sudden, she ends up with Atlas luxation. And then, of course, the fake friends lie and say, okay, it's alcohol poisoning in a fall in the bathroom. Now, at this point, like I said, I had just had these feelings in the last few lives. If you actually go back into these lives, I'm saying that this is a mess, and I'm hoping that the FBI can start from scratch. They can start from scratch and piece together this investigation to get justice for Shanquella. But I had a feeling that something I knew the 17-second video or 20-second video, depending on which version you view, was not really enough, and that they would need a bunch of other evidence to add to that. But I considered, like, with the video and the autopsy and everything combined, it would be a lot of evidence, sufficient evidence. However, I also knew that Mexico fumbled the ball on the investigation. They dropped the ball because on day one of any investigation, like I've already said a million times, the justice starts for a victim on day one. And on day one of any investigation, it starts with collecting the evidence at the crime scene and correctly processing the crime scene. And if they go there and they assume automatically that it's alcohol poisoning and an accidental fall, and they don't actually treat it as a murder or a crime scene, then guess what will happen? the crime scene won't be properly processed. And then on top of that, they started the investigation late. They didn't start the investigation. Remember that first articles that were released, it said that there was no evidence of foul play. So they automatically were just automatically not even treating this as a murder case. So her justice didn't even even pursuit of her justice didn't start until late into get into the game when the video was released and the autopsy came back as outlaw succession, and it was determined that it was actually violence instead of just an accidental fall or that. But I still said that we needed way more evidence than that video, and I was hoping that the FBI and Department of Justice was working really hard on this, and that they would find all loopholes and be able to get a solid case on at least the main perpetrator, which is Desiree Jackson. Now, I say all this to say that I still am seeking justice for Shanquella. I don't really believe it's over because I still need questions answered. And the reason I say that is because the FBI has already stated that the FBI and Department of Justice were both working together, and that their investigation was completely separate from Mexico. And remember, I posted that email, and Shirley Lynch said, as I've stated before, we are conducting our own investigation. So this leads me to think like, well, it can go either way, that they are not going to extradite at all based on their own investigation, thinking there's not enough evidence. Remember, the Department of Justice has to agree to extradite. They have to agree that there's sufficient evidence to extradite. And also, if they don't think it's sufficient evidence to extradite, then extradition might not occur. However, Mexico has already stated that they have a warrant for Desiree arrest, and that they feel that was sufficient evidence. That's why they have a foreign arrest warrant, right? So with that being said, Mexico could still obviously have their arrest warrant, but if U.S. doesn't extradite her, then the only way she can be arrested is if she steps foot on Mexican soil. But also the U.S. said that if there's new evidence that comes out, that they can also, of course, reopen it or look into this further. But I say this to say that we still don't know. There has to be probably an expert that will give this add more input and insight into this. So I did reach out to the FBI, and let me say this, that when I first since I'm also on the list from the FBI, so when there is like a press release, I also get it. So when it was first released, I got the information as well, as long as all the news stations. Okay. So I had got the update as soon as it was released, but again, I was already live, so I could not go live. So that's why I didn't go live until later. So once I got off my last live, I did contact the FBI again for clarification. So I will go over what I received. Okay. So let me go over what I received. Let's see here. One second. Okay, so as you can see, I did receive this a while back earlier today, and so I'm like late. I'm late as far as some people already know this information, but I did receive the information along with other media or reporting. And the reason I received the information from the FBI is because I'm in charge of the petition with 40,000 something signatures. So obviously, since I'm in charge of this petition, it's common sense that you actually send me information so then I can send this out or email it out to 40,000 people. That gets the word out. So that's why I'm on the list of contacts from the FBI, okay? And the Department of Justice. So let's see here. Where's my button? Okay, it says right here, of course, you can see it says Charlotte Media at LPI.gov. So it came from Charlotte, and I got it around like noon. Okay, and then it says, please see attached statement issued by the U.S. Attorney's offices for the Middle and Western District of North Carolina and the FBI related to meeting with the family and family representatives of Miss Shanquella Robinson. Okay, so that's the email I got, and it says Shelly Lynch. So that's the email that was sent out to media and everyone that is on the email list to get information on Shanquella from the FBI. Okay, so this is what I got, and pretty much you probably already seen the statement that was issued to all media. And this is so basically this is the email that people got, and then if your name was added to the list, the group list or whatever, you would get this information right here. This is a statement that has been posted by different media agencies already. Wait 1 second. But again, after I showed this statement, I did reach out again for clarification because I obviously did not like what I was hearing or reading, should I say. Okay, listen. Okay, so this is the attachment that was a part of that email. It says United States Department of Justice, United States Attorney Sandra J. Harrison and Dina J. King, United States Attorney's Offices for the Middle and Western Districts of North Carolina for immediate release Wednesday, April 12, 2023. Federal officials meet with the family of Shanquella Robinson. It says Charlotte, North Carolina. It says federal officials with the U.S. Attorney's offices in the Middle and Western Districts of North Carolina and the FBI met with the family of Miss Shanquella Robinson and family representatives today to offer their condolences and present the findings of the federal investigation into the death of Miss Robinson. The investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death of Miss Robinson has been a priority for federal prosecutors and the FBI. The FBI has worked diligently to conduct a detailed and thorough investigation of the evidence available in this case. In coordination with Ms. Robinson's family, an autopsy was conducted in the United States by the medical examiner's office in Mecklenburg County. Okay, so basically, an autopsy was conducted in the United States also by the medical examiner's office in Mecklenburg County. So they're not just going by the autopsy done in Mexico. I guess they did their own in United States, okay? As in every case under consideration for federal prosecution, the government must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a federal crime was committed. And this is a key part we must keep in mind. It says the government must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a federal crime was committed. So that means they need a lot of evidence. It can't just be like circumstantial or like just like it has to be strong evidence, concrete evidence, solid, based on the results of the autopsy and after a careful deliberation and review of the investigative materials by both U.S. attorneys' offices. Federal prosecutors informed Mrs. Robinson's family today that the available evidence does not support a federal prosecution. And remember the available evidence. Actually, to be honest, I need to see all the evidence. What were the results of the second autopsy conducted in the United States? Because that's important to know. I also want to know, like, will now Sue-Ann release the full packet? Because now that this has happened, you might as well release all the evidence that were put out. I mean, I actually want to see all the evidence that they have collected, everything, like put everything out. Like you just don't put this type of information out to a community of people that want justice for Shanquella and you don't give answers. So at this time, if y'all have closed this in the United States and saying that you're not going to bring charges, well, now is the time to tell us why. What was in the autopsy? What were all your findings, or what were the evidence? Okay, and it continues on to say the death of Miss Robinson has been incredibly difficult for her family and the community. As a matter of policy, federal officials generally do not issue public statements concerning the status of an investigation. Well, to me, like if you're saying you're not going to bring charges, then why not bring information now? It says, okay, However, given the circumstances of Ms. Robinson's death and the public concern surrounding this investigation, it is important to reassure the public that experienced federal agents and seasoned prosecutors extensively reviewed the available evidence and have concluded that federal charges cannot be pursued. And I'm very disappointed in this because I feel that I knew that Mexico dropped the ball and they fumbled the ball, and that the evidence had been not collected properly or handled correctly. And the whole thing was kind of messed up from the beginning. And due to lies and cover up and everything else mixed in, I knew this was like a long process and it had to be like really thorough. And the FBI had to dot all their I's and cross all their T's to actually get anything done with this because of how her justice was delayed and from the very beginning and not handled correctly from the beginning. But anywho, the last sentence states, as in any case, the government is prepared to review and examine new information related to the investigation should it become available. So that's pretty much saying, like, if there's any other new information that comes out, like, for example, a confession, which I doubt will ever happen, confession or something that will be strong enough to re-examine a case, and of course they will actually look into it. But as of now, they are not bringing their own charges. Now, remember that the other statement I got from Shirley Lynch before stated that they are conducting their own investigation, which is separate from Mexico. So I don't know if Mexico can still pursue extradition, because usually extradition requires the Department of Justice and the Office of International Affairs to actually agree on the extradition and agree that there is sufficient evidence. If they have now said there's not sufficient evidence, there's insufficient evidence, then how can they co-sign the extradition? So it looks like, I don't know, y'all. I don't really know. Okay, so Mexico, I do know they have their foreign arrest warrant, and if Dejanay steps on their soil, her manly foot on their soil, then they have no choice. They can arrest her. But as far as making the U.S. Cooperate and extradite her, that requires the DOJ to examine it and then say that there's sufficient evidence, at least circumstantial evidence or some evidence to extradite. In this case, I will say that we actually need to apply pressure on the Department of Justice to actually extradite her to Mexico. I mean, y'all say there's not enough evidence, but if Mexico says they have a strong enough case to pursue this, then why not extradite? Why not extradite? Like, are they going to protect Dejanay? If Mexico wants her, then extradite her. Why protect her? I mean, they said they have their evidence, so and it's a separate investigation. So I said extradite her to Mexico and let Mexico handle the trial. Let Mexico handle this whole case. Simple. Y'all did y'all investigation. Y'all saw it wasn't sufficient for y'all, but Mexico did theirs and they saw it was sufficient. So extradite Dejanay Jackson at least and let Mexico handle it. That's what I say. So anyways, I reached out to Shelley and the Department of Justice because I wanted more clarification on this whole thing. And of course, I'm deeply saddened by this news. However, I'm still hanging on hope that maybe applying pressure to the Department of Justice will actually make them, hey, extradite her. That's another option. Remember, Sue Ann said, extradite her to Mexico or invoke extraterritorial jurisdiction and take over this case, or in her words, concurrent jurisdiction. So, I mean, Mexico is saying one thing, y'all are saying another. If you don't want to prosecute Manhan Jackson over here in the United States, then extradite her back to Mexico and let them handle it. That's how I see it. So let me go ahead and pull up the email I got from them. Now, of course, I love my correspondence and emails from the FBI, but Shanquella Robinson justice come first. I don't see how someone can travel to Cabo and then come back and not come back to the United States. And then her injury is a violent, her injury is Atlas luxation. And you're telling me that after she was brutally attacked by Manhan Jackson, after she was brutally attacked, later on she had a fall in the bathroom or she had some kind of accident or something that caused her neck to break? No. I say that she was thrown by her neck and she was brutally beaten. That's what caused her Atlas luxation. But of course, I can say this, but FBI has to gather evidence to prove it. And I guess they haven't had gathered evidence to prove it. I actually want to see, have they released the autopsies? I have to actually look into this because, like I said, I went from one live to the next live. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to look into this, but I definitely want to see what were the results of the Charlotte Mecklenburg autopsy. Okay, so here's the response from the FBI, and it was right before I went live, so it wasn't too long ago. Let me actually read my response first, my question, because I have to give you context. So obviously, let me go ahead and read mine. What did I ask the question? Because obviously, I don't want to just give someone's response without telling my question. Wait 1 second. I put hi, I have an additional question. Although the FBI is not bringing its own charges, can Mexico still pursue its own charges? Can Jackson still be extradited to Mexico under a foreign warrant since it's a separate investigation? Pretty much like what I've been telling y'all. Mexico has a warrant for her arrest, and although it's foreign, it cannot be executed over here until the DOJ approves it and is extraditable. And usually that requires sufficient evidence. So to me, the answer should be it should be no, to be honest, because extradition requires the DOJ approval, and if DOJ says not enough evidence, then there's not enough evidence to them, right? However, to me, it should be at least circumstantial evidence enough to extradite, because extradition doesn't need beyond a reasonable doubt. Extradition just needs circumstantial. So you don't need beyond a reasonable doubt for this. So I still say she can be extradited to Mexico and let them handle it. Simple. So I don't know. Let's see what Sue Ann Robinson says and being Crump. Extradite her to Mexico is what I say. So this is a response that I got back. Is this right here? Hold on. It says hello. Of course, I had already put her in the email, and also Leah Bunton-Vani, who is also the Department of Justice, and she also added another person, Megan, which is the Department of Justice. I don't know why she added this person, but she did, probably because this person is going to have some kind of. Let me actually go up 1 second. Hold on. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know who that person is, but anyway, it had the handle or at of Department of Justice. It says, hello. For more information regarding the status of the investigation being conducted in Mexico, please contact the State Attorney General of Baja California General Sir. So for more information regarding the status of the investigation being conducted in Mexico, please contact the State Attorney General of Baja California General Sir. So this is kind of confusing me, because why contact him if you're not going to actually extradite? The only reason I say to contact him is if he can still, I mean, like, they are doing their own separate investigation, but the problem is, even with the separate investigation, Mexico cannot do anything unless she's extradited, and extradition is handled by the OIA and Department of Justice. And OIA is the Office of International Affairs and Department of Justice, right? So how can Mexico do anything without the U.S. help? So I'm like, why contact? This is my question. I got to respond back, I guess. Like, how can Mexico do anything? But then, of course, at the bottom, it says for questions related. So basically, I guess she's saying that if I have questions about the Mexico investigation, I need to contact the State Attorney General of Baja California Sur. But if I have extradition questions to contact, she says, for questions related to the extradition process, please submit a request to the Justice Department's Office of Public Affairs. So that's what I'm saying, the Office of International Affairs, okay, Public Affairs, okay. So pretty much she's saying that if I have questions regarding Mexico's investigation into this, to contact attorney, which I already know, Attorney General Baja California Sur. And if I have questions regarding extradition, contact the Department of Justice at that. And I'm like, why send me that when the person you're adding, or the person I mentioned, is actually Leah, so she can actually respond. Whoo, child. This is a mess. So that's the update on that. And I don't know. Like, I guess Mexico needs to respond. So I guess I need to actually contact Dani de los Anaya and see what his response to this whole United States statement is, because we definitely need his response. And yeah, and also looking forward to Sue Ann Robinson and being Crump's statement. In my opinion, they need the United States feel like they have insufficient evidence, and Mexico feel like they have sufficient evidence. Then just let her be extradited back to Mexico and let Mexico handle it and do their own trial and their own thing. Like, why stop Mexico from doing something? I mean, you jumped in and you said, "Oh, we're going to have our own separate investigation," right? So that's how I see it. But to be honest, I also need to see the results of the other autopsy. I just know that there's no way that something else happened on that trip. We saw the brutal attack. What else could have happened there? So someone actually expects someone to believe that there was a brutal attack and nothing else. Um, and then it was a brutal attack, and then it just by chance happened to be something else that killed her too. No, 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 no. I'm still going by exactly what I see and know. And remember, this is not saying it didn't that someone is innocent. It's saying that there's not enough evidence. There's a difference. Wait 1 second.
Robinson. They are saying they will not pursue our newsroom in the last 10 minutes. We did get an update from the U.S. Attorney's Office on the death of Shanquella Robinson. They are saying they will not pursue a federal prosecution. That's according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Channel 9's Joe Bruno is live right now to walk us through what we just learned here, Joe.
And this is a rare joint statement from the U.S. attorneys for the Middle and Western Districts of North Carolina. They say that the FBI conducted a thorough and exhaustive investigation into the death of Shanquella Robinson, and they say that the evidence does not exist to prove that she was murdered beyond a reasonable doubt. So they say there will be no federal charges death of Shanquella Robinson, and they say that the evidence does not exist to prove that she was murdered beyond a reasonable doubt. So they say there will be no federal charges in the death of Shanquella Robinson. Now, I am reading the statement that I received moments after I stepped off air with you right now. I am told that this quote by the U.S. attorneys for the Middle and Western Districts, as in every case under consideration for the Middle and Western Districts, as in every case under consideration for federal prosecution, the government must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a federal crime was committed based on the results of the autopsy and after a careful deliberation and review of the investigative materials by both U.S. attorneys' offices, federal prosecutors informed Ms. Robinson's family today that the available evidence does not support a federal prosecution. So we now know that the U.S. will not prosecute anyone that went on that trip with Shanquella Robinson. What we do not know is how this impacts the arrest warrant that was issued out of Mexico. We have already started reaching out to the State Department. We are also expecting to hear from the family and the attorney of Shanquella Robinson in about an hour in Uptown. I'm going to head up there now, and we'll be asking these questions, but no charges will be filed by U.S. prosecutors in the death of Shanquella Robinson. Live in Southwest Charlotte, Joe Bruno, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, Joe, I know you've been covering this from the very beginning, and I think you pointed out the big question still is whether they will honor those arrest warrants from Mexico. I know you're going to try to get those answers for us at 1:30. Joe, thank you.
Yeah, sometimes it pauses when my ad block is blocking out ads and things on the website. But yeah, so pretty much, I just watched that video and they had the same questions I have, right? After getting the media release statement, is that not, will they still honor what Mexico wants, which is extradition? So let's go ahead and head over to so there's actually going to be a press release or press statements or press conference, should I say, with the family. So I definitely want to head over there as well to look at this information. There's stations reporting on it. Okay, I see a comment in here too. Hold on one second. It says the U.S. Attorney's Office in North Carolina announced Wednesday authorities will not pursue criminal charges in the United States in the death of Shanquella Robinson, and the FBI and federal prosecutors have completed their investigation into her death. It is unclear how or if this will impact the requested extradition of the traveling companion. Mexican authorities issued an arrest warrant for last year. Robinson, 25, died in October under suspicious circumstances a day after she arrived in Cabo, Mexico. She was on vacation with 6 people. The FBI opened an investigation to her death in November. Okay, let me skip down. Okay. It says U.S. officials on Wednesday made clear Jackson is not a criminal suspect after the FBI investigation, but did not specify the Department of Justice or Department of State's position on extradition. So yeah, they're not answering the question about extradition and honoring Mexico's request to extradite Designate Jackson. Okay, it says the Department of Justice met with Robinson's family and attorneys Wednesday morning and told them that it has completed its investigation and will not prosecute any of the 6 suspects. Sue Ann Robinson, not related to Shanquella Robinson, has planned a meeting with supporters and media in Charlotte for Wednesday afternoon, which is, I think, happening now. Based on the results of the autopsy and after a careful deliberation and review of the investigative materials by both U.S. attorneys' offices, federal prosecutors informed Ms. Robinson's family today that the available evidence does not support a federal prosecution, said U.S. attorneys Sandra J. Harrison and Dina J. King in a joint statement. And remember, Dina King is the one I was telling everyone to email, right? Yeah, so let's see what evidence came out today, and let's see. I definitely am waiting for Sue Ann Robinson because she also has information, and most likely I guess that Sue Ann Robinson will probably release more evidence on this, like she released that 18 pages, and most likely she probably will release more information and details. And I'm sure we all are interested and curious to know what all evidence the FBI has to see what we think about it, right? But yeah, definitely if the U.S. has decided not to pursue their own charges, since now they have completed their own separate investigation from Mexico, they can at least honor Mexico's request to have Designate extradited to Mexico, right? I mean, because to be honest, if she goes to Mexico, which we already know she's not going to step her manly feet on Mexico soil again, if she ever travels there or goes there, she's automatically going to be arrested there because she has a warrant. But however, for it to be valid in the United States, it has to be approved by the Department of Justice, and they're saying there's not sufficient evidence over here. So I would say that we still need to apply pressure, but I definitely want to listen to what Sue Ann Robinson has to say and Ben Crump and see what their actions are going to be in the family. But obviously, it's still going to be justice for Shanquella. For me, nothing has changed because there's a difference between not having enough evidence and someone being found actually innocent of all things, right? Insufficient evidence does not always mean someone is innocent. And just like with the case of O.J. Simpson, to me he's guilty, and just because the gloves didn't fit, that doesn't mean that that he should have gotten off. I'm just saying. So okay, let's go ahead and go to the next thing. Hold on. Yeah, this is very sad. I was not I was hoping that the FBI was just going to collect all sorts of evidence to nail people and get people locked up, but it looks like after their investigation, to be honest, Mexico fumbled the ball from the get-go, but at least right now, even though they fumbled the ball from the beginning, at least let them fix this issue. So I'm fix this issue and this extradite her, and then let Mexico and see what they can do with this whole case. Okay. 1 second. Okay, so this is Shank Rock. If you're not already subscribed to his channel, make sure you subscribe to his channel. So I'm going to check out, he's going to be doing updates as well. So let me go and see what he had to say. Hold on a second. Yes, I'm gonna actually look and see right now what news station has it live. I'm sure most time they try to have it live. They try to stream it live. 1 second.
Great afternoon. I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of the Charlotte local news media on this afternoon to the Little Rock Zion Church. Thank you for taking it not robbery to come and join this family, and attorney Sue Ann Robinson. And on behalf of Pastor Walker, the family, we say thank you to Pastor Walker and the Little Rock Zion Church for opening up the doors when this will take place this afternoon. I'm Mario Black, founder of Million Marshall Charlotte and Salisbury. And we will go ahead and get started this afternoon. I'm going to bring up attorney Sue Ann Robinson.
Great, everybody. Thank you again, Leaky and Mario. Thank you for having us, Pastor. We really appreciate it. We're here today. Obviously, everyone knows that the FBI has released their statements indicating that they don't plan on filing any charges after investigating Shanquella's case. So we're here today. We're disappointed, but we're not deterred. It's not something.
Sheila, who are you referring to? I never said that. I never said that it's not going to be honored. I said I'm hoping that it will be honored. Are you talking about someone in the comments? because I spoke to the FBI and they already said that I need to contact Mexico and then also the DOJ. They never said that. But yeah, so I'm hoping that they do honor Mexico's extradition request. However, to honor it, they still need to say there's sufficient evidence. Just like with the Bruce Redmond case, you still have to have some, you wouldn't have to have sufficient evidence, but you have to have some sort of evidence, like at least circumstantial evidence for extradition. And it still has to be approved to the Department of Justice. So the Department of Justice still has to approve of her being extradited. So we need to still apply pressure to the Department of Justice to extradite her to Mexico, in my opinion. But let me watch this conference to see what was said. This is Mario Black, and yeah, you already know he's the one that was hosting all of the events.
All right, everyone ready? Great afternoon. We want to take this opportunity to welcome all of the Charlotte local news media this afternoon to Little Rock AME Zion Church. Thank you for thanking it not robbery to come and join this family and attorney Sue Ann Robinson. And on behalf of Pastor Walker, the family, we say thank you to Pastor Walker and the Little Rock AME Zion Church for opening up your doors and allowing this to take place this afternoon. I am Mario Black, founder of Million Youth March of Charlotte and Salisbury. And we're going to go ahead and get started with this afternoon. I'm going to bring up attorney Sue Ann Robinson.
Hey, everybody. Thank you again. Thank you, Mario. Thank you for having us, Pastor. We really, truly appreciate it. We're here today. Obviously, everyone knows that the FBI has released their statement indicating that they don't plan on filing any charges after investigating Shanquella's case. So we're here today. We're disappointed, but we're not deterred. It's not something that's necessarily unexpected in the sense that Black and brown people always have to carve their own path to justice. Today, just sitting in the meeting with the family, listening to what we were being advised and listening to what the so-called investigation was revealing, I thought back to Miss Wanda, Ahmad's mother, who had.
Can everyone hear it? If you can't hear it, then I might have to download it to actually increase the volume. So let me know if you can hear it. I can hear it, but this is as loud as it can go on YouTube. It's at the highest volume.
Had to take her case to the state attorney's office and had to beg for charges to be pressed in the death of her son. And I remembered Sandra Bland's mother, who had to do the same thing when they told us all that an investigation revealed that her cause of death was suicide. And I think most about in Shanquella's case, because her attack was captured on video, and now we're being told that there isn't going to be an arrest, or there aren't going to be any charges brought. It reminds me of George Floyd and how we were told that while we were watching with our own eyes Derek Chauvin putting his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, we were being told that he was having a heart attack and that he was suffering from a drug overdose. So while we're here disappointed, we're not deterred. We're going to continue to press on. We're going to continue to demand that there's a high level of diplomatic intervention in this case, that if the U.S. authorities are now again telling us, oh, well, it's back on Mexico because Mexican authorities have to do something, we don't have a problem with that. We know that we have to carve our own path to justice, and we've been doing that from the very beginning. Mrs. Robinson has demonstrated tremendous strength, and I talk about it all the time, as well as Paula, her sister, having to bury a child, grieve for a child, get through all of that stuff, and then fight for justice for your child at the same time. And then being advised today, well, despite there being a video showing a vicious and brutal attack of your child while she's naked and obviously not fighting back, that there is nothing that can be done in terms of charges being filed by the FBI, that you have to seek your redress and your justice somewhere else. And that's fine. Mrs. Robinson, again, is obviously disappointed, as is all the family at the meeting today. But we're not deterred. We're still going to be marching. We're still going to rally in DC on May 19th, because it shouldn't be that in this country that Black women, Black and brown victims of crime have to do this every time they are victims of crimes. But it is unfortunately what it is. And again, any discrepancies or any issues with respect to Mexican autopsy versus the autopsy conducted by the FBI, all of those things are going to be a result of a delay. And now we're witnessing the result of a delay, which is why there was always a concern, which is why I always say this is the people's case, this is the people's movement that said, hey, there's no reason why a Black woman should go on vacation with her friends, be returned to her family in a box, and nothing be done for 5 months, that the FBI be permitted to sit on their hands, that they be permitted to say, we're working, because justice delayed can be justice denied. We all know that and have seen it time and time again. And so that's why I say, on behalf of the family, again, we're very disappointed, very deeply disappointed. But we're not deterred, because it's something that we've seen before, and we know that we have to carve our own path to justice. Ms. Robinson knew that when she asked me to go on a fact-finding mission to Mexico, that we were obviously in a state of affairs where there's two different justice systems in America. And we know that in ours, we have to fight for our justice. We have.
Okay, there are some people that say they can't really hear it, so pretty much I have to download this video and up the volume, so you have to give me 5 minutes. So in about 5 minutes, I will actually have increase the volume as much as possible. And shout out to Kelly Block. Shout out to Kelly Block for the super sticker. Yes, Auntie, yes. Thank you for showing my channel some love today. And everybody else, remember, you can support the channel for free just by hitting the like button. Again, support the channel for free just by hitting the like button. And as you said, that Sue Ann sounds devastated, and we all are. This is very disappointing and saddening. And we all know that she was brutally attacked, and we all know why she's no longer with us. And for this to come out and to say that you're not going to bring charges because there's not enough evidence, that's crazy. Because even if you say you don't have enough evidence for a homicide, you still have enough evidence for aggravated assault and battery. You still have evidence to bring some form or type of charge. It doesn't even have to be the heaviest penalty. I mean, like, you see a violent attack, that's enough for something. You can bring charges for that. But yeah, so I can definitely see why she is devastated, and along with everybody. I mean, we've been wanting justice for her for so long, and like she said, we're not going to give up. We're still going to keep fighting for justice for Shanquella. In a lot of cases, we don't always get a yes the first time around, and we still can have them extradite her to Mexico. There is enough evidence. It doesn't have to be beyond a reasonable doubt to extradite her to Mexico. It can be circumstantial evidence. Okay, so they can still extradite to Mexico. Simple. And that's what they need to do in this case.
Have to rally for our justice. We have to beg for the same constitutional rights. And Shanquella is doing that even in death. Even in death, she's having to fight for her rights as a U.S. citizen, as a victim of a crime. The U.S. authorities have to understand and have to know that even if for them it's not about Shanquella, that United States citizens cannot go to Mexico, commit a crime that we all saw on a video, and then come back to America and say, we're on base, we're safe, we're not going to be charged with a crime. That cannot be the message that the U.S. authorities want to send. So again, discrepancies in the autopsy results between Mexican authorities that we've been discussing, unfortunately, and not being discussed by the right individuals, have all been caused by
The MeWatch says, what about civil action? Yeah, civil action could still be brought against different people. It depends on how they pursue it. ColorBills.com, American Medical Center, and also even like Dejanay Jackson, like wrongful death and things that can be brought. But a lot of times it kind of, I don't know. But to be honest, yeah, they can bring civil action. But obviously, we also want criminal action to be done. And that's what deserves to be done in this case.
By delays. If it had been taken serious from the very beginning, if the internet and the people and social media didn't have to create the movement behind the case.
And that is true. Exactly what I was saying is that if it had been taken seriously from day one, we would not even be here at this point. Mexico fumbled the ball from day one. A victim's justice started from day one, because as soon as a victim is deceased of a brutal murder or attack, violence, you have to speak for them. And how you speak for them is the crime scene investigators, they go out and they collect all the evidence properly and they process the crime scene properly. Everybody handles their job, from the doctor to the police. Everybody does their job correctly. And then that way the evidence will tell the truth about what happened. In this case, the evidence is not being able to give the full truth because it was not correctly processed and gathered. Okay, I have a new version now, so let me go ahead and upload that, and then we can play that version starting at the 8-minute mark. And then hopefully that will increase the volume for some people that could not hear it. Give me 1 second.
To demand that there's a high level of diplomatic intervention in this case, that if, because justice delays crime, the U.S. that the U.S. and social media didn't have to create the movement behind the case, and the authorities would have gotten involved the minute the video surfaced, there wouldn't have been a delay. There would have been immediate statements taken from the individuals involved. There would have been time to take an immediate autopsy of the body before it was embalmed. All of those things would have been done, but because it was the death of a young, black, beautiful, brilliant, educated woman who was on vacation, justice was delayed. There was no investigation done. It was not taken seriously until the people had to say, hey, we're not going to accept that this is just what it is. This can't be just what it is. We see with our own eyes an attack, an assault, a crime happening, and nothing's being done. That came from you all. That came from the people saying, we demand answers. And today we actually ended up with way more questions than answers. And so that's why I'm determined and fully aware, and the team, Ben Crump, Tanika Mallory, Until Freedom, Mario Black, all of us, we stand with this family, and we're going to stand with this family till the very end. And we're going to be in Washington, and we're going to rally because we understand, unfortunately, what the job is.
Okay, if you, I'm going to start blocking some people from my comments. If you're in my comments being negative, you will be blocked from my channel. You will no longer be able to come back to my channel. I'm not going to tolerate anyone being negative. This is a sad day for most people that want justice for Shanquella. Anyone trying to create chaos and too much negativity will be blocked from my channel. And this is the final warning on that.
What the work is, and that we have to carve our own path to justice in these cases. And we've seen it time and time again, and I've said it in other press conferences. I would like to be put out of this line of business. I don't want to be here on behalf of another beautiful black family begging for dignity and respect and basic constitutional rights. I don't want to be doing those things, but that is what it is right now. We have two separate justice systems where one is, if you're a victim of a crime and you look a certain way, it's going to be covered by the media. It's going to be resolved in a certain way. And then we have our cases where we have to have press conferences and rallies, and we have to beg the government to intervene. And that's not okay. And that's why it's the most important work of our time. And so we're disappointed. We're not deterred. We're pressing on. We absolutely will keep you guys updated on everything that we're doing, but we're definitely pushing toward the 200th day to be in D.C. We hope that everyone can join us, because the message cannot be that U.S. citizens can go overseas and commit crimes against other U.S. citizens and come back and say that they're on base, that they're safe, that they're not going to be arrested, that there's going to be such a delay in the investigation that the evidence will have time to dissipate and they'll have time to change their stories or work on the evidence. That can't be the message, because this is the land of the free and the home of the brave, and we have U.S. constitutional rights, and there's victims' rights, and we're going to fight for that. We're going to fight for that whether the victim of the crime is Shanquella or whether it's any black woman. We're going to fight for that because it's deserved. It's our right as U.S. citizens. So I'll have, do you want to speak? Okay. Do you want to speak? Okay. So I can take questions.
You mentioned a delay. Is there any kind of evidence you can share that was shared with you all for the reason of why the government gave us a delay?
Sure. I said there was a delay, meaning that the video was released on November 16th. So we were advised today that the U.S. authorities didn't begin an investigation until after their own autopsy had been conducted, which would have been well after the video came out. And really the bigger issue is that without the video, before the video even came out, if you all remember, there was a statement released saying no foul play. Before any evidence was even entered, there was a statement made saying, oh, there's no foul play. That statement was never retracted, but because the case was never taken seriously from the beginning, that caused the delay. That caused Mexico to have to do their own autopsy, then the FBI to have to wait for the Robinson family to have the body transported. All of these things should have been done by U.S. federal authorities if they took the case seriously from the beginning. But it wasn't taken seriously from the beginning. The people had to move the case. We had to demand that the case be taken seriously. And those delays are going to cause discrepancies in an investigation. We all watched First 48. Know that time when you're investigating a murder or homicide or any crime, that you have to investigate swiftly. We saw it with the kidnapping case in Mexico. Immediately, the FBI said, $50,000 reward, we're moving in, we're coordinating with the Mexican.
So basically, Sue Ann is pretty much saying, of course, we're not going to obviously accept this as the final answer. We're going to continue to fight for justice for Shanquella, because we all know that she was brutally attacked and murdered in Cabo, and we definitely still want justice for Shanquella. We will not just accept this. I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of times where people are fighting for justice and they get told no, or someone isn't immediately arrested, and then you still protest. You don't stop just because you get the first no. And that's anything in life. You don't stop just because you get the first no on anything you're trying to pursue, especially something like this. And secondly, she is like reiterating that this was justice delayed, which is true. From day one, this was not handled properly. And there was a statement, I just was actually looking at it the other day, that was released saying that there was no foul play involved early on in the investigation. So this whole thing was just a mess. And I'm just hearing myself, even like over some of the lives. I'm just like, when I was really like deep into thought, I knew it. I'm like, it's just a lot, and I hope that the FBI can piece these things together. And there's a lot more evidence than just the video. If not, then I knew there was going to be trouble on the horizon.
Mexican authorities, there was no swift action on this case. There was absolutely no urgency on the part of the U.S. authorities. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I guess what discrepancy? Were there any discrepancies that they told you as far as like the Mexican autopsy?
Oh, okay, sure. So,
That you can reveal?
yeah, absolutely, because it's going to be revealed. It's going to be the feds are going to release their results of their autopsy, which was done after the body was embalmed and then transported, and they're advising that there isn't a spinal cord injury, that the Mexican autopsy says there's a spinal cord injury, but according to them, there is no spinal cord injury. They're also advising that there's swelling on Shanquella's brain, but that her cause of death is undetermined. So to me, if you are in an investigation, how are you closing an investigation on a case where the cause of death is undetermined, but we all have seen a video showing a brutal attack? That doesn't, it's not giving undetermined.
Wait a minute. So there's swelling on the brain that they found, and the cause of death is undetermined. That means exactly what it means, that when they exhumed the body or they did an autopsy on the body, I don't know if they had buried her and exhumed her or I did it before. I'm probably before. But yeah, so I don't know. I need the actual timeline of the autopsy. But yeah, pretty much if there's swelling on the brain, what would cause someone to have swelling on the brain? What would cause someone to have swelling in their brain? Common sense. She was getting pounded in her head. And then also, cause of death undetermined means that y'all waited too long for the autopsy. Now you can't even determine the cause of death because you waited too long. So yeah, that's not saying that someone, that's just exactly what it means, insufficient evidence because of delay. So why not just go by the original autopsy when it was done like the day after her? Which autopsy would I trust? The one that was done right after her she passed away, or the one that was done way later, weeks later? I prefer the one that was done right after, that was actually able to determine her death based on like her freshly being there, and not a one that was delayed. So I can see why Suan is continuously saying to pursue this, because I was thinking it was like a stark contrast between autopsies, but right now you're telling me that swelling on her brain and undetermined. You didn't say it was something natural or something accidental. You're saying undetermined. There's a big difference. So yes, hashtag justice for Shanquella and swelling on the brain, hashtag justice for Shanquella. Let's keep going with this, right?
It's giving there's a video, and now you're telling us something else, not to believe our own eyes, which is why I invoked George Floyd's case, which is why I said, that was a case where we were being told, don't believe your own eyes. Don't believe that Derek Chauvin has his knee on his neck for 8 minutes. Believe that it's really a heart palpitation or he's having some sort of drug overdose.
He says time or embalming would not change a broken spine or neck. And here's the thing. I keep on hearing them saying the back spine, but that's not saying the neck. So I keep on hearing them saying the I don't know. But what would be actually the cause of swelling on the brain? So I will actually need to answer for that. All I can say is this, that Shanquella was 25. She went to Cabo, and the only thing we see is her being brutally attacked on video, and she never made it home. There is nothing that's showing alcohol poisoning or anything in her toxicology, and we have swelling on the brain and an undetermined cause of death. There should be something that shows in her autopsy the cause of her death. If it's undetermined, then that means that there still needs to be an investigation. Who dies and someone does an autopsy and it's undetermined how they died? That doesn't make sense. And usually that's when foul play is involved. So like I say, all in all, this undetermined cause of death does not make sense at all. How can someone not determine someone's cause of death? There has to be foul play in that, and also swelling on the brain added into that. And we saw her getting pounded in the head. And also, I would actually want to see this autopsy that was done in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. I want to actually see it. And also, what date was it done? When was it conducted? So I would actually want to see that, right? Something is off with this. And like Sue-Ann said, undetermined cause of death is not the answer. Imagine if this was your family, your relative, and they said, oh, the autopsy came back with swelling on the brain, and we don't know the cause of death. And then you see a video of her getting brutally attacked in Cabo. The toxicology is not coming back as anything. There's no they said it say natural. They'll say anything. They say undetermined swelling on the brain. And you see her getting brutally attacked. 1 + 1 = 2. Come on. So yeah, I still say that this is nothing has changed for me. I just feel like just because they say it's insufficient evidence, they can still extradite her back to Mexico. Let Mexico handle it. Shout out to Ahmad. Yes, Auntie. Yes, thank you. What's up, Danny in chat? Yes, this is a sad day, Ahmad, for the Shanquella Robinson case. We did not want to hear this from the FBI and Department of Justice, but we are still pushing forward for # Justice for Shanquella. The family still wants justice. Sue-Ann is still pushing for justice. We are all still pushing for justice. And everybody else, support the channel for free just by hitting the like button. Hitting the like button gets the video into the algorithm. So let's go ahead and finish up this video with Sue-Ann Robinson and the family at the press conference.
We see the video. We see what happened. We see that she's being beaten, but we're being told that, oh, the cause of death is undetermined. And that can happen if the autopsies are delayed. That can happen.
There's an arrest warrant out of Mexico. How does the FBI statement today impact that arrest warrant? And did they give you any indication that they will extradite the people who were on that trip for Shanquella?
Right. They've indicated that basically what they're doing is what I've talked about from the beginning, which is ping-ponging. The FBI today said, well, we're not going to press charges, but Mexico could do something if they want to do. And if Mexico wants to do something, then it's no problem. We'll be fully cooperative with anything that Mexico wants to do. So again, as you all know, I went to Mexico, and Mexico said, we've sent everything over to Interpol, we've sent everything to FBI, we've sent all of our documents, we're just awaiting word from U.S. authorities on what needs to be done next. So there's a Department of International Affairs, the Department of State, obviously, who we've contacted and sent a letter to, and they know what needs to be done. And that's what's so frustrating about the case, because it's not something that's without precedence or without a protocol. And so for the United States government and for the FBI today to sit and tell myself, Mrs. Robinson, Quilla, and Mr. Robinson, that there's nothing to be done on their end, they're closing their investigation, and I guess Mexico could do something if they want to, is absolutely absurd. Not just for Shanquella's case, though. It's not absurd just for her case. It's absurd for any person who would be a victim of a crime overseas committed by a U.S. citizen. How can you just say, okay, well, as long as we make it back home, we're not going to get in trouble? That makes no sense.
That's right.
Yes. 1 second. Yes.
Just out of my own curiosity here, you talked about some of the action that might be taking place in path forward right now. What do you see in path forward right now? And if it's easy to get justice, or we think it's something.
Yeah.
You mentioned you teased a little bit about staying in Washington, but I would also imagine there's also all sorts of stuff that has happened in Mexico as well. I think that probably needs to be a lot more communication.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we've been asking for from the beginning, which is a high level of diplomatic intervention. It's going to take more than the local FBI field office in Charlotte, with all due respect to all the work that they do. It's going to take more than that, because there has to be a high level of diplomatic intervention. Heads of state have to talk to heads of state and say, listen, this is what it is, this is what happened, it's on video, we can't have U.S. citizens do, this cannot occur, how are we going to resolve this? There needs to be a result in an amendment to the treaty or whatever has to be done, but it cannot be that you can commit a crime and come back and say you're on base. That can't be the result. So between then and now, we're absolutely preparing for the rally on the 200th day on May 19th. And then we definitely are going to still be, beating down doors and asking for our meetings in terms of, the head of the International Affairs Committee and their chair and all of the things that we've been doing. We're still going to continue that. And that's why I say, on behalf of the family, we are deeply disappointed, but we're not deterred. Right. And I think the issue right now, and what I'm kind of alluding to, is that if an extradition request was needed, if that was the one piece that we were all here waiting for, why wouldn't there be a high level of diplomatic intervention to say, hey, there's criminals among us. They're walking around and they hurt someone. Can you get this? There needs to be communication. And the reason why there's no communication is because the case hasn't been taken seriously.
So I guess, like, to your knowledge, has Mexico issued like a formal request for extradition?
Absolutely. Like I said, I was advised by the Attorney General in Baja Sur directly, we have sent everything. They have everything. And remember, for the
So yeah, the in Baja California Sur, they have sent all over everything. Obviously, I mean, to be honest, like when you submit the extradition paperwork, like even in the case of Bruce Redmond, they have a full packet. They have the autopsy, they have all the evidence, everything the FBI would need for their own investigation or just for the extradition process is sent over. So they definitely have everything. And yeah, so the FBI and Department of Justice is saying it's insufficient evidence, right? But like I said, this extradite to Mexico and let them handle it. I'm sure they'll she'll get some time if she goes over there.
The FBI to conduct their investigation, they've advised us we're in communication with Mexico. That's how we did our investigation to say we're not pressing charges. So if they're in communication with Mexico, why isn't part of the communication, hey guys, forgot to drop off the extradition paperwork?
So just to be clear, so Mexico has sent a request for extradition. Has the State Department said that they received it, or have they said?
The State Department has not advised. What I'm saying is, and what I've said since I went to Mexico, which is they have advised all the documents they need to submit have been submitted. So now we're being advised, well, we're not going to press charges in the United States. Maybe Mexico's going to do something. So the point is, if you're having ongoing communication because you're involved in an investigation and you really give a damn, then that's a very simple communication. Hey guys, we're not going to be able to press charges, but you guys go ahead and prepare your extradition paperwork so we can get it sorted out, since there's criminals over here just running around free and it's hurting an American family. That's a very simple communication.
Prior to the update that went out, Dani, what was the last communication that you had with the U.S. Attorney's Office
The U.S. Attorney's Office in
regarding this case?
Mexico?
And the U.S.
We were not communicating with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the United States. We were communicating with the FBI and the State Department.
And what was the most recent update you got on the case prior to the one that was released?
Oh, we were all getting the same update, which is we were investigating. Yeah, for the last 5 months.
I know the last time we spoke, you mentioned that you were meeting with
Yeah, that was the same update everybody was getting, including me, was that is ongoing investigation, or somehow they would give a detail like saying that it's a separate investigation from Mexico, but it's pretty much the same thing. And then today that was email, what I showed earlier. If you're getting late, you have to catch the replay. But yeah, this was actually sent out to everybody. This is what set out everything today, their announcement. And then if you're actually on their list of contacts, they sent out an email earlier today about this whole not pressing charges with an attachment. And then after I got that, I already updated that for clarification, I emailed again and I was told that to contact Mexico, just like Sue-Ann, contact Mexico for any questions about their own investigation, and then also to contact the Department of Justice for anything about the extradition. And the whole thing is, the second part is the whole thing I'm talking about, is that in order for the extradition to be approved, it has to be approved by the Department of Justice. So even if you contact Mexico and they say, yeah, we want to do extradition, of course, like they said, that still has to be approved by the Department of Justice, who has evaluated and say that there is at least circumstantial evidence for the extradition to be approved. So to me, the Department of Justice, they definitely need to just go ahead and approve the extradition and let Mexico handle it. But why would they actually approve it if they feel like it's insufficient? So that's why pressure needs to be applied for them to say, hey, we at least have circumstantial evidence or enough sufficient enough evidence for extradition. Now, will they do that? I don't know. Because it's kind of like this. If you say there's insufficient evidence, then why would you extradite or approve an extradition packet if you think it's insufficient? So they will have to actually change that over to as well. It's at least enough evidence to extradite. So I really don't know, but yeah, we need to keep on applying pressure, and maybe more evidence will be come out or whatever. But it's still going to be justice for Shanquella, like Sue-Ann said, to keep what we're doing up.
White House officials last week, or I believe the April 3rd, did that meeting happen? What happened in that case? And then from the FBI, I'm trying to get more clarity. What are they saying they need, or what is the thing that they're saying they're missing? If they're saying, let's go on press charges, we can move on, whatever, but an extradition request has been filed, and the arrest warrant has been filed, what are they saying is the missing piece so they can, move forward with extraditing someone like that?
Okay, so two questions. Right. We are still going to White House, and we are still moving towards that, because our belief has always been from the beginning that it's always going to be bigger than the local feds in Charlotte, that it's going to take a high level of diplomatic intervention because heads of state have to talk to heads of state. That's just the bottom line. It's a transnational criminal case, and so it's going to take a little bit more, especially because it involves one of us. Again, I hate to keep repeating that in the Mexican kidnapping case, that was the most swift action ever. So saying to Shanquella's family, oh, we had to look around, it took us a while, we had to wait to get this autopsy result, is absolutely disingenuous, because swift action could have been taken if it was taken seriously from the beginning. And then what was the second part of your question?
What was the missing piece? Well, actually,
oh, okay.
Piggyback off of that. So I know you mentioned you were supposed to meet the week of April 3rd. Are they receptive to meet with you, or are they pushing that behind you?
Well, the issue is everyone is ping-ponging against everyone else. So first, you have to meet with this person in order to meet with this person in order to have a meeting with this. So we have now completed this piece, which again, we're disappointed by what was said today, but we're not deterred. So that's what I'm saying. We're continuing on the same path to the rally on May 19th and to have meetings with heads of state.
So you met with FBI in Charlotte today. Talk to me a little bit more about that meeting, and then what do they think is the missing piece so that they can move forward? Because I know the extradition request has been put.
Okay. So there is not a missing piece. So I don't want there to be a narrative saying that there's a missing piece. There's no missing piece. There's a video. Her cause of death is currently undetermined, and they've advised based on their own autopsy that they cannot determine a cause of death for Shanquella. Her autopsy that took place in the United States was done after her body was embalmed, which means that there was a delay, obviously. There's an undetermined cause of death and a video showing her being beaten. So you tell me what the missing piece is.
Well, I guess I guess the question is, so if Mexican authorities were saying, hey, here are all the paperwork, requests and so forth, so what would be necessary for them to actually extradite someone?
So I unfortunately am not able to be present for the supposed conversations between Mexican authorities and United States authorities on this particular case, right? I can only say what I was advised. So the Mexican authorities are saying to me, hey, listen, we don't mind giving you our investigative packet. Here it is. This is exactly the documentation that we've already sent to Interpol and the FBI. So then the FBI says, we could do something if Mexico would do something. But do you see how all that does is just create more delay and create all of this, that we have to be here today? That all it would take is for someone at a high level to intervene and say, hey guys, it's an international murder investigation. let's figure out.
I think I saw a comment from Eye of the Storm, and it kind of got buried. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. It says, Dani, do you think the public campaign to POTUS and them was the cause for this public statement? I do believe that the pressure to the White House definitely has made them come out and make a statement. And to be honest, I think it actually probably put a lot of pressure on them to come out and make a statement and kind of like, to be honest, rush the process. And I'm not saying like rush the process, like, I think that they were probably lingering on trying to get more evidence or waiting to try to find different ways to get evidence, but the pressure applied kind of like say, hey, we definitely have to go ahead and just put it out there. So I think that they probably already came to this conclusion and they were not putting it out, and then they finally decided to put it out. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like they like rushed to just say anything. I'm saying that I think they already had came to this conclusion before, but they were stalling, trying to delay putting out the information. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if you have bad news, but you don't want to put it out there because you're hoping that something might change. But then once a pressure is applied, then you go ahead and put it out. Yeah. Because based on their statement, right here, where is it? It says the FBI has worked diligently to conduct the detailed and thorough investigation of the evidence available in this case. And then right here, hold on. It says the death of Ms. Robinson has been incredibly difficult for her family and the community. As a matter of policy, federal officials generally do not issue public statements concerning the status of an investigation. However, given the circumstances of Ms. Robinson's death and the public concerns surrounding this investigation, it is important to reassure the public that experienced federal agents and seasoned prosecutors extensively reviewed the available evidence and have concluded that federal charges cannot be pursued. So yeah, I believe that this statement would not have been made had it not been for public interest and public pressure. They actually probably would have not actually put this out there until like much later. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up the video. There's not that much left to it.
To be done, if there has to be a meeting, if I need to get on a plane, if I have to go there, if we have to do a Zoom, whatever it is. You'd think on a transnational criminal case that would affect tourism in Mexico, that would affect criminal law, obviously, in the United States in terms of not deterring people from going overseas to commit crimes and then returning back to the United States, that somebody could figure out how to have a meeting for them to communicate. And not to mention the fact that it's being represented to us that there is some sort of communication, because there was communication and documents exchanged for the FBI here to investigate. So it's not that they're saying we don't have communication. So if the missing piece is a document, right? Just like we can talk about it and say, hey, the missing piece is a document, so can they. And they should be. And if they were taking serious, they would have those documents in place. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about the person that the Mexican authorities have the arrest warrant for, the person's name and how they were involved? Is it a friend, a former friend? There is a name that is out there, but I don't know if you've talked to the Mexican authorities about that name and that arrest warrant. Or you need to talk about that person that they want arrested?
Talk about the person?
The arrest warrant. There's a name that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you could say the person's name of the arrest warrant and the person that they want extradited.
Okay. So I've said it before, it's not a secret. The Mexican authorities have already identified in their investigation, based on the identification of the aggressor in the video that we all saw, they identified Dani Jackson as the aggressor in the case.
Again, they're pretty much answering like who is on the arrest warrant, and she's pretty much saying it's Dani Jackson. Of course, we already know. And so I guess they wanted more clarification, because a lot of news media, they cannot really report like directly like who it is, but if they have a mod, not a mod, I'm looking at my comments. If they have someone else like in a position of knowing, like know-how or know, like Sue Ann Robinson. So Sue Ann Robinson or Ben Crump can put out a statement, and then from there, the media can then quote them and say, Sue Ann Robinson said that Mexican officials are wanting Desiree Jackson to be extradited, instead of like directly coming from the media. So now, as it has been put out there that it is, of course, Desiree Jackson that's on the arrest warrant, who brutally attacked Shanquella Robinson and was identified by a concierge from CarloVillas.com as the direct aggressor. And that's who, of course, we want extradited.
Yes,
Is civil action a possibility?
certainly.
And another follow-up, did the FBI give you any indication if they interviewed any of the people who were on that trip to Shanquella?
Right. And they did advise that there were interviews conducted. And that's why I say any discrepancies, and I can speak plainly because at this point it's why. If you wait.
Exactly, Sue Ann, and that's what I'm saying, and that's what I said at the beginning of this live, is that now that the FBI said they're pretty much, they haven't said like 100% close the case, because they said, as in any case, the government is prepared to review and examine new information related to the investigation should it become available. So they're not saying it's completely closed, but at this time they have concluded the investigation. So at this time, to be honest, evidence can't, like, things can be put out here now, like the autopsy results, the statements, different things can be put out here since the FBI has concluded, but they might not, because the Mexico can still do their part in the investigation. I don't know. But yeah, Sue Ann, if you have anything else, I'm sure we want to actually see what else is there, and what, I mean, to be honest, why not? If the FBI has said they have concluded their investigation as far as they're concerned, unless more evidence comes available. So I wouldn't be surprised if we all on the internet get to see more details or more information about the case and the statements that were made, so we can possibly piece together or have some explanation and have some kind of like clarification on things, because to us it's kind of open and shut, but we definitely need to see what the FBI is looking at and what made them to come to this conclusion altogether. So yeah, we definitely, public does definitely need to know more information on this, because we are all involved and we all want justice for Shanquella. And remember, when they released this statement, they said the community, they stressed that the community was watching and waiting for results too. So now that we're all in this, we all need clarification on why this decision was made. And the only way to have clarification is to release information on this case, and not to jeopardize the case for Mexico or anything like that. But eventually, if both sides make a conclusion, we definitely need clarification. That's for sure.
Wait till 5 months after someone committed a crime. I'm not a trained investigator, but I would imagine that the people would have time, if they were involved, allegedly, in a crime, they would have the opportunity and time and space to delete text messages if that's what they wanted to do, to talk to each other about the case. Which is why, generally speaking, in investigations, once you know there's an issue, you immediately and swiftly investigate to prevent delays that would prevent discrepancies, that would prevent justice from being served. And so that's why it's so disheartening that the U.S. authorities allowed there to be such a delay in this case. Yes. Sure.
It's possible, I mean, lawsuit is not out of the realm of possibility, but a lawsuit that the civil suit would create some sort of discovery and potentially knowing what documents were received and what documents were not received. And is your belief, or is it a mission to find out exactly where the ball was dropped? I'm getting the history. You're feeling like the ball was dropped right here. It's not the ball was dropped. There was certainly a lot of bureaucrats that table. There is a lot of bureaucrats that table that you kind of need to send.
I don't think there is a lot of bureaucratic tape. I think it's pretty simple that in the United States, that when there are black and brown victims of crimes, there is a whole other set of things that have to be done than not. So that's why I said, Ahmaud Arbery's case, Ms. Wanda had to go to the state attorney herself. She had to go hire attorneys. She had to beg these people to investigate a case that in the end, we all know, ended up in convictions, and convictions not just in local court, but also in federal court for civil rights violations. But Ms. Wanda, a black mom, had to push for that. It's not like the justice system said, hey, here's your justice, here's what the course of action is, here's what you need to do. She had to push for that. Sandra Bland's mom had to push for that. You know, in George Floyd's case, their family had to push for those things. And so it's not something that is unexpected. I mean, I would think as a student of the law and as an attorney for 16 years, we could get somewhere with it, but we're not there.
But as far as that those records, at least part of the certain black people part of the lawsuit, is that something, is that something you're actually looking at just to see exactly where the ball may have dropped to?
I mean, there's other ways for us to do that, a similar exploration, and I say sure in terms of a civil lawsuit because it's never outruled, but that's not where we are at in this moment. In this moment, the frustration is, why is there two different systems? That's the frustration. Why do we have to go and think about, oh, let's use a civil remedy and bend ourselves all out of shape for something that's fair, in the Constitution, basic, you're a victim of a crime, this is how it should be handled, it's on video, this is how it should be handled. Why do we have to do all of those things, I think, is the frustration at this moment. And why we're saying we're pushing to still go to Washington and we want all of you to join us there, because it really is bigger than Shanquella, and it's very close to my heart, obviously, because these are my clients, and you know, I got to learn and know Shanquella after her passing, but it should absolutely, this should be a packed room. This is a national issue. Anyone could go on vacation. Anyone could go on vacation with a group of people with malintent and be hurt, and then the people can come back and say, we're on base, we're okay, FBI isn't going to get us, we're fine. That should not be the case.
Can you be more specific about when you're saying that you're going to go to Washington, like what your next steps are?
Oh, sure. On May 19th, we're going to go to Washington, and we're going to march to the Department of State. Yes.
I just wanted to clarify. So, that the FBI told you that they had conducted interviews with people who are on their trip with Shanquella?
So basically, again, some of the questions are repetitive that's being asked of Suyin, but pretty much she's saying that they're still going to be marching and protesting, and we're still going to be pursuing justice for Shanquella, that this has not stopped anything, and hashtag justice for Shanquella. And yeah, and now it looks like this reporter is asking the same question as another one about statements from the Cabo 6 or any of those statements that were being made. So let's go ahead and listen to that. Hold on.
Right.
Did they say how many people?
How many people? No. No.
With people?
Right. They said that they interviewed people that were the travel mates, and that they interviewed people who were in the house, and that they were in communication with Mexican authorities. Which is why I say, well, if you're in communication with them and there's an error in the process, like they're having a problem, like they say, okay, well, we can't bring an investigation because XYZ, right? Whatever they put into their inputs can't give the output that we're requesting, then they should be able to have that conversation.
And were there any other pieces of the investigation beyond the autopsy and the interviews with people who were, I guess, on the trip that the FBI was supposed to do?
Not that you were advised of.
So the investigation kind of comprised of those two pieces?
Yeah. It comprised of them doing the autopsy after the body had already been embalmed, and they advised that they spoke to witnesses. So that's all we got. Yes.
Blogger. I'm one of the bloggers that's covering the case.
Oh, okay.
What can we do to help in this case?
Yeah, I think being present is the most important thing. I think this case came from social media and from people saying this is not enough. I think most importantly is if you are going to share information on the case, please make sure it's factual information.
So I don't know if that was Shank or whoever asked the question, but the question was, what can you do as bloggers to help get justice for Shanquella? And her response is, of course, to be present, I guess, to be present on social, I guess, to use your platform. And also, of course, listen up, to only put out accurate information. Do not put out misinformation on the case. So that was a thing that she went around different platforms stressing and reiterating, is to not put out misinformation on the Shanquella Robinson case.
Because that actually hurts the family. And it hurts the case. Because then U.S. authorities are allowed to say, well, we heard this, or we heard that, or this is that, or it's not a real case, it's an internet hoax, or whatever the case may be, which can set the case back. So if sharing information on the case, keeping Shanquella's name in the media is super important, but it's super important to attach it to actual factual information.
There you go.
So that we're not hurting the family and we're not hurting the case.
So basically, keep her name alive, but only with correct information. Don't keep her name alive with misinformation. Keep her name alive with correct information, factual information, is what she's saying.
My question is to his mom and dad and family. I'm sure this has been really hard for them since this happened last year. What's the news today emotionally? How are they? If they haven't had time to be supported about their emotional state and everything that goes through after grieving for their daughter and now pushing for justice.
Sure, and I opened with it, which is they're extremely disappointed, as anyone would be in that situation, but they're not being deterred by it because they understand that they've had to carve their own path from the beginning. And so they're disappointed in this moment, but understand that more work has to be done.
So just briefly going back to my question about the march on May 19th.
Mm-hmm.
So once you issue this May 19th, that kind of date is that correct? So what comes after, once you complete the march, you get to where you're going, what's, the overall goal?
Well, the issue is we won't be there on May 19th if we can get a high level of diplomatic intervention before then. If the communication or the alleged missing piece can be completed before then we won't be there. But if not, we will be there and we'll be demanding it, because it cannot be that someone can go overseas and commit a crime against a U.S. citizen and come back and not be affected in any way. There isn't any reason. It doesn't make sense. We all saw it on video.
So the Department of Justice saying they're going to prosecute, do you think that, like, the White House is going to be open to meeting with you guys? Do you feel like, do you think that's going to be able to happen?
I think that they should be, because of what I've been saying and what the family is saying, which is Shanquella's case is unique, but it's not without precedent and protocol. And it makes it more apparent, all of the hoops and the things that they've had to go through, that there's two systems happening. Because why, right? It doesn't make sense. And so I think they should be open to it. I think all U.S. citizens should be open to us having that meeting and having that discussion and figuring out how we get to the bottom of something like this. Okay. All done. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Pastor.
Okay, so that was that video for the press conference with Sue Ann Robinson and the family after they heard the devastating news about the federal, the FBI and DOJ not pursuing charges for their own investigation. However, they are referring everyone to Mexico to see what Mexico decides to do. And if anyone has any questions about extradition, to contact the DOJ. And that's the discrepancy for me in all of this, is that in order for the extradition to be approved, it has to be approved by the Department of Justice and Office of International Affairs. And usually for that to be approved, there has to be at least circumstantial evidence or some enough evidence for them to approve the extradition packet. If they are saying that is insufficient evidence, then what are we left with here? Because Mexico needs the U.S. to approve the extradition. So are they now asking Mexico for better evidence or more evidence? I don't know what they're referring to Mexico. So basically, we also need to apply pressure to Mexico, because Mexico, they're telling us to contact Mexico. So we actually need a statement from Mexico, Daniel De La Rosa Naya, and we need to see what he has to say about all of this and what he plans to do next and this whole process, and hear his side of things, because there's the FBI and DOJ side, and also there's Mexico. So I definitely would like his input. So to be honest, everyone needs to email Dan De La Rosa Naya to get a statement from him. Let me see if I have his email right now, and I'll go ahead and post it. Everyone needs to email him to see. He needs us. Basically, when you send an email to Dan De La Rosa Naya, I need you to ask him to make a public statement on this Shanquella case. Okay, so let me get his email. Just email just a quick that we need a statement. Just send him like the information from the FBI that the FBI and DOJ released, and ask him to make a statement regarding it. Okay. Wait 1 second. If you actually go to the petition page itself, okay, so I'm going to post his email. I think I already have it here. Okay, so this is the email for Daniel De La Rosa Naya. Just send a quick email just asking him to make a public statement regarding the FBI's statement today and press release on being insufficient evidence. And you can also use my statement that I got from the FBI. Remember, they told me to contact him. So you can pretty much say the FBI told us to contact you. I mean, they didn't tell y'all, but I mean, this is the statement to me. So you can say they told us to contact you regarding this whole Shanquella Robinson case. How are you going to proceed in this matter? It's right here. It says this is from the FBI, and she also tagged in the Department of Justice 2 people from there. It says, hello, for information regarding the status of the investigation being conducted in Mexico, please contact the State Attorney General of Baja California, General Sir. Okay, so here's his email. So let me go actually while I'm live. I'm actually gonna click to send something really quickly. That way I'll actually do it while I'm telling y'all to do it. Just a quick statement on Shanquella Robinson case. I'm gonna attach the press release. I'm sure he already knows about this whole thing. I'm sure the FBI contacted him, informed him of this, right? I'm gonna attach the press release from the FBI. And I'm gonna pretty much just wait 1 second. What I'm gonna say. I need everyone to do this because I definitely need him to respond. I need to know his stance and his position and all this, what he thinks. because he's definitely the person that the FBI said to contact. So we definitely need to apply pressure there as well. And also to DOJ, because his extradition cannot be approved without the Department of Justice. And like Sue Ann said, this is like a ping pong. This has been swinging back and forth like a ping pong ball, being bounced back and forth across that ping pong table. That's why, to be honest, in that case, that's when you need to write an email to both Department of Justice and Mexico, because that way Mexico can make sure the extradition paperwork is in there, and that they already said they submitted it, and then Department of Justice can actually approve it. And they don't want to try them in the United States, then extradite and let Mexico try them. I mean, they already have the foreign arrest warrant, so let's just go ahead and complete the process of extradition, which it should not require beyond a reasonable doubt for extradition. For extradition, I think you only need circumstantial evidence, which they do have. Okay, let me go ahead and send this email really quickly. Give me a second. And I need everyone else to send it too. I need everybody to do it. Right, and then of course, please make a public statement regarding this, regarding the FBI's and DOJ press release. How will you proceed? Actually gonna add in Ken Salazar and Victor Cruz. But I think let me see one person. Victor Cruz. Wait, and make sure I have the right name. Who was the other person? Oh, Victor Castro. I don't know why I said Victor Cruz. Victor Castro. I'm gonna add him in there in the email. I'm gonna share y'all the emails, the 3 emails, and then I'm also gonna add in the other person that's in the Attorney General's office. I said Victor Castro, and then I'm also gonna add the ambassador for Mexico, Ken Salazar. So I'm just gonna send a group email to all 3 of these people. We definitely need a response ASAP. And then I'm also going to contact them on Twitter and Facebook, but not right now. I'm going to post all 3 of these 4 email addresses that you can all send to. Okay, wait 1 second. Now, sometimes emails get blocked, so I definitely want to make sure there's no bounces. Wait, I want to actually make sure this is the right one because there's 2 emails for Daniel De La Rosa Naya, and one bounces back. So I'm going to let me actually put up the right one. Hold on 1 second. This is the right one. Okay, so those are the emails. Okay, what you can do is just send one email, just send a group email, okay, to all those right there. Okay, let me read this last article, and that will pretty much wrap up this live. Okay, so far I have not got any bounces back, so it should be going through. Let me read this last article from Charlotte Observer, and then that will conclude the live. Wait 1 second. Okay, it says, wait, my voice is going right now, it looks like. Hold on. Okay, I might have to take a day off because I think my voice is starting to going live on these 2 channels. Okay, it says an FBI ordered autopsy of Shanquella Robinson's body came back inconclusive and is part of why federal officials won't press charges. So to me, that's kind of like a weird reason to not press charges. That's actually a reason to look in it further, in my opinion, because why would someone's results come back as inconclusive? Okay, it says according to an attorney for her family, attorney Sue Robinson. Attorney Sue Robinson said, why is my voice going in and out? I'm not even sick. I have allergies, but okay. Attorney Sue Robinson said Wednesday the family is disappointed but not deterred by the FBI's decision to end its investigation into the 25-year-old Charlotte woman's death. The Department of Justice said Wednesday it will not see criminal charges in the case. Robinson blamed this decision on an investigative delay. So remember, Sue Robinson was investigating this on an investigative delay. She was blaming this on that. Okay, it says previously Mexican authorities performed an autopsy and determined Robinson's cause of death to be severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, a broken neck. Robinson, 25, died under suspicious circumstances a day after she arrived in Cabo, Mexico. She was on vacation with 6 people in October. Power off. A viral video circulating after her death sparked international outrage. The video shows a naked, barely verbal Robinson being hit repeatedly over the head. Okay, so here's the address, all the email addresses. I also put it in the chat so you can copy and paste if that's possible on your device. On the day she died, her traveling companions called for medical help in an ambulance to treat her. According to previous reporting by the Charlotte Observer, during this treatment, Robinson became unresponsive and had seizures. The FBI opened an investigation into her death a month later. There's no reason why a Black woman should go on vacation with her friends, be returned to her family in a box, and nothing will be done for 5 months, Attorney Robinson said on Wednesday, because justice delayed can be justice denied. Robinson, who was not related to Shanquella Robinson, said the FBI's autopsy listed her manner of death as undetermined. She said the autopsy found Robinson did not have a spinal cord injury, but that she did have swelling on her brain. She said the FBI waited until after the body was embalmed, and that this discrepancy from the Mexican autopsy and death certificate is a direct result of that delay. So yes, I need to look more into this. And if anyone knows more about this, I actually have a medical examiner that was supposed to come for the autopsy. And definitely, this is something we definitely need to discuss, like how embalming the body, I think Ian Mack is talking about in the comments, how embalming the body can affect the results of the autopsy. So embalming the body can affect autopsy results. Obviously, I need to look more into this and see how much of an impact it can have on a body. How can it affect it? How much, right? So that's crazy. If the FBI is basing their decision on an autopsy that has been impacted or affected by embalming of the body. Interesting. Now I can say if they had it based on like official, like unaffected results, right? But they are basing it on embalmed body, and they say the embalming a body can affect results. That's not good. That's not good at all. So you're saying the insufficient evidence is because you're doing an autopsy on an embalmed body, and that can cause discrepancies. That's not a good reason. Nope. Now, when they say insufficient evidence, I was thinking of something more. But if they're really, the autopsies, they're really like strong evidence, and they're basing it on an embalmed body, and embalming a body can affect the results, and that's not good at all. So yes, keep applying pressure, and we need Mexico to respond on what the U.S. said. And I will reserve some judgment right now until I have more on this, because I have my thoughts on certain things, but I'm not going to actually put it out there now until I hear from Mexico. So again, I'm going to actually send out an email. I need to eat dinner first. I'm going to send out an email after dinner, and it's pretty much going to be asking everybody that signed a petition, whoever checks their email, to actually reach out to Mexico and have Daya de la Rosa Naya to respond immediately and pronto, ASAP, to what the FBI said, and also an email following that to the Department of Justice that if Mexico decides to still pursue their extradition, which I'm sure they likely will, pressure involved, of course, in threatening to affect their tourism, then most likely they will have to respond and continue on with their extradition request. And in Mexico, they need to apply pressure to the United States to follow through with the extradition, and demand that the United States follow through with the extradition, respect the treaty laws, and follow through with this extradition, because murder is in the treaty, femicide is a form of murder. So definitely the United States needs to follow through with the treaty. Right. So yeah, so we need to apply pressure to Mexico so they can make sure that they are putting enough pressure on the United States to complete the oblige with the treaty and honor the extradition. And then we also need to apply the pressure to the Department of Justice, because the Department of Justice is who has to approve the extradition, and they don't need beyond a reasonable doubt, according to, I think, I don't want to name which one said it, but they don't need beyond a reasonable doubt to extradite. They just need a circumstantial evidence to extradite, which they surely do have. So yeah, and like I said, I go by the Mexican autopsy that was done a day after Shanquella passed, and not the autopsy done after someone's body was embalmed or deteriorated beyond like before it got fully examined. So anyways, that's it for now. Let me do a quick check to make sure there's no updates while I was live, and then I will actually see y'all in another live. I actually still have some Nazir messages I never went over yet, so I definitely still will want to go over that. And it's still, nothing has changed for me, to be honest, y'all. Nothing has changed for me, because the insufficient evidence is based on evidence that was already affected. And like Suzanne Robinson said, evidence that was already affected, and that it was already affected due to delays in processing her body, evaluating her body, and performing an autopsy on her body in the United States. So in that case, nothing has changed for me at all. It's still justice for Shanquella, and they don't have insufficient evidence, in my opinion. They have evidence that was affected or impacted, which can be, it kind of be one and the same, to be honest, but not really. Not really, because they can just use Mexico's autopsy instead of trying to use their own autopsy. Which, if one autopsy says inconclusive and one says are undetermined, and then swelling on the brain, and the other one says that, then I would actually go by the autopsy that was done in Mexico, to be honest. And also, I would want to know who actually did the autopsy in the United States. Just like we evaluated who did the autopsy in Mexico, we also need to know who's the doctor that did the autopsy in the United States and what are their credentials. We definitely, I mean, to be honest, we have to look at both sides of things. Let's see here. So anyways, I don't see any updates as of, I see most people just updating on the same press release. And again, most media were sent the same press release statement I received, which I already posted in the beginning of the slide. And that was sent like around the afternoon time. So yeah, so anyways, I will see y'all on the next live. And if there's any updates, I will come back live. If not, then I will see y'all on the next live. Have a great day, and make sure y'all hit the like button on your way out. And we definitely will have an open panel, because I know some people out there want to be able to have a platform to speak their mind and be able to come on the panel and have open chat. I know a lot of people have a lot to say. I'm going to go ahead and rest my voice, my throat, so I can have an open chat and panel at the next slide. Jessica says, this shit is unacceptable. Excuse my French. I'm just so fucking pissed. Yes, we all are. And to be honest, like, when I heard the news, I was actually live, and that's usually a channel where I make jokes and I like have fun and then like do impersonations and things like that. But as soon as I heard the news, I could not even like make a joke. I couldn't even focus. I'm like, I'm just ready to get off this live right now. But since I already had went live and I already said I was going to do this video, I was like, I try to stay on for as long as possible, but it's like I was there, but I wasn't there mentally. So I was there, but I wasn't physically there. So my mind, and to be honest, right now I'm like in a different mood. I'm like really sad, and I'm really not in the mood to have any kind of like enjoyment right now, to be honest, because this is sad. I'm pretty much going to eat dinner, and then I'm also going to focus on sending out some emails. And like once I send out some emails and I feel like I'm sending something out into the atmosphere to make some kind of change or get some kind of response, then I'll feel slightly better. But yeah, this is really bad news for everybody that's been screaming justice for Shanquella. But it's not the end of the road, because I mean, like if you always quit or you stop at one just because one obstacle gets in your way, then that's not a sign of a leader or a person that is determination or anything else, or a person that strongly believes in what they believe in. Because once you believe in something, you keep going no matter what, and nothing can really change that unless it's something like 100% that's something completely what it is. And today we did not get answers that 100% of that is nothing here. We got answers that is of an autopsy that says undetermined cause of death. And there's no way someone can go to Cabo and then come back and not come back to the United States, and then it says undetermined cause of death, and we see a brutal beating. No. Nobody in their right mind would have a family member go to Cabo. You see them getting brutally attacked while they're naked, and then the cause of death says undetermined. You're like, oh, okay, well, it's all done. It's a wrap. Everything is concluded. No, you're like undetermined. No, I need answers here. So there are needs for answers. There is a need for closure, and we don't have that. So case is not closed. All right, y'all. Love y'all, and I will see y'all in the next live. Oh, I appreciate y'all too. Thanks, Kelly. So yeah, I'm gonna send out an email and make sure that if you have not done this already, then I need everybody, and we will be looking forward to having a response from Mexico. And everybody needs to flood the inbox with it. And also, I'm gonna send his Daniel De La Rosa's Naya's Facebook page, the Twitter page, and also I already posted the email. I'm gonna send it all out, and then hopefully everybody floods it. And we have like 40,000 signatures. We finally made it 40,000, and I'm hopefully, even if like 10%, like even like 10%, like 4,000 people send an email, then that's great. Shoot, you know what I mean? So like, even if like even half of that, 2,000 at 5%, we know like. So we will see y'all. I will see y'all later. Bye, and thanks, Maz, for helping out. Thank you. I just need to rest my voice because I went from one live to the next. Yeah. Yes, time to protest. And like Sue Ann said, we're going to keep chugging along. We're not going to give up. There's a number of cases where people are not arrested, and then there's protests, the person is arrested, and then I mean they say, oh, there's no evidence to arrest the person. The person is innocent, there's nothing, and then the person ends up getting arrested out the protest. Shout out to Janice for this super stickers. Again, shout out to Janice for the super sticker. Yes, yes. Thank you for supporting my channel. And I just about to log out, but yeah, thank you, girl, so much for always supporting my channel. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody out there. And remember, you can support my channel for free just by hitting the like button. And hopefully, we'll soon hear good news on Shanquella Robinson. And I'm just saying, y'all know, as far as me, I go, I'm not giving up. Sue Ann Robinson is not giving up. Obviously, the family is not giving up. Ben Crump is not giving up. And I hope y'all out there also are not giving up. And Ashton Lee, check your email. If you signed the petition, you should get email notifications. So I will see y'all later. Bye.